Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Hilltop Pillbox here in Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada. And we've moved it up about a century or so, and we're going to be doing a fun playtest of Historical Board Gaming's Global War Meltdown 2025. So this is the faster, simpler, yet no less fun version of their 2025 game. That I've done a video or two about, and I think I did a video on this one a while ago, but as you can see, the map is just gorgeous. It's been revamped, and the rules have been really streamlined. It's going to play very easily, very quickly. This is as Doug and Will like to call it, a beer and pretzels game. Over in about 3 hours or less is the goal, so we're hoping to get a round or two of this in today. We'll see how it goes. And disregard some of the stuff that you see. These player aids, player charts, and whatnot aren't going to be used as they're all printed out. But I just had them so they're easy to stack our stuff on. But there's still a lot of great stuff going on. There's still cyber warfare and lots of nukes. Everybody's got nukes, so we're gonna probably see some of the mushroom clouds on the board as the game goes along. The one difference that they have put onto the board now is the victory point tracker, and we're just using the Americans for the West and the Russians for the East, but they'll be making up East and West tokens, and you get victory points for taking victory cities, and that you can see the red star right there, and of course Israel has one as well. So every time you get one of those, you get to move up your chip. And every time you use a nuclear weapon, I'm just moving Russia because, hey, they're a little nuke happy. But if you ever do get to -5, if you ever use too many weapons without capturing cities, then you're just doomed to fail. So, looking forward to it, and we'll show you what happens after round one right away. Okay, we are halfway through round one here, and it's moving along pretty nicely for the East, of course, because they had their turn first. One of the big stories, of course, Israel got nuked and took out 4 infantry, and then they fired a cruise missile into it before that, though, to kill a tank. So Israel, which is in a blow-up box over here, is down to a fighter and some intermediate range ballistic missiles, which they just might have to fire so they don't lose them. And I think we know the target. China had some tremendous success. Were able to take out 4 ships with their anti-sub ballistic missiles. So yeah, that was good for them. Not anti-sub, sorry, anti-ship ballistic missiles. Thank you. The Dongfeng missiles, they're pretty good on that. Russia had enormous success here, taking all 4 territories, and you lost 1 infantry? Yeah, 1 infantry, that's all they lost. Now the EU didn't lose an awful lot of, or EF I should say, European Federation. They didn't lose much either because they don't have much in there, but they lost I think like 5 guys and 2 tanks or 3 tanks or something, so that's pretty nasty. Let's see here. They also fired some cruise missiles into India and killed a couple things there. And yeah, that's pretty much it there. Oh yeah, and the technology chart. We don't have the actual chart yet, but just on the sheet here. Russia rolled 2 dice to research technology and rolled 2 6s, so they were able to research a couple of things. So their tanks now cost 8, but they also attack and defend at an 8. And they also got improved drones, which now have a range of 4, I think. Alright, so that's pretty cool. And the Chinese, of course, who needed no help with their thing, they have artificial islands now, so their anti-ship missiles, instead of hitting on a 4, now hit on a 5. So for $4 you can build something that's a one and done on a 5, but you can start smacking into carriers and whatnot. So yeah, he chewed up my Navy pretty good on that for pretty cheap. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here. I've got some plans for my airborne troops, so we're going to have some fun with that. But alright, stay tuned. We'll see what happens on the rest of turn 1. Alright, so the first turn is over, and I just got to put on the builds. for the West, but some big things have happened here. The Americans, of course, came down and took Venezuela, but the 2 infantry there caused the death of 3 American infantry, despite having, no, was it? Yeah, it was 3. So America did take Brazil over in a diplomatic role, and then they sent everybody in, and plus brought down the airborne, and plus brought down a fighter, but still couldn't do the knockout blow very quickly. So those 2 Russians killed 3 American troops. The Russian subs went pretty quietly here, I think. I don't think they killed anything. And then the Americans landed a couple of tanks here in the Caliphate territory. Also, the Caliphate Navy is no more here or here. These 2 subs made quick work of them. But if you're wondering, these white dotted lines here, basically you have to have both sides. It's kind of like, we call them straits or canals as well. It's the idea you need to land on both sides to get out. So for the American fleet here to get out, they either have to own this or own both of these. So they're stuck there, a bit of a sitting target. But not without offensive punch, because you can fire cruise missiles. Oh, we got to fire the cruise missiles. We forgot to fire. You got to fire the cruise missiles off subs. They can fire one per turn. Okay. The EU was unable to take anything back, didn't even try, but some Americans came over. But Germany's looking like a nuke juicy target here, so we'll see if the Russians are wanting to do that. And other than that, just a few cruise missiles getting fired out of various places. You can fire cruise missiles out of air bases or off attack submarines, 1 per turn. Oh, we're going to fire one in North Korea as well. So, yeah, and I need to point something out here. There's a lot of fighting going on. You'll notice that a Russian sub remains. He can submerge after or before any round of combat, so he decided the odds weren't too good there, and he submerged. Israel, as we know, is down to 1 because of the nuke, and the nuke now gets removed, so the Americans can actually put 1 unit there, that green number 1 in the little sprocket. And the last thing we'll point out here is watch out for airborne troops, because airborne troops are slippery, and during attack, the combat move, they can move up to 3, and they only attack as regular infantry. They only attack at a 2. But that move of 3 can really get you. So the Russians had actually vacated all this and didn't build anything. So they took that, and almost more importantly, they went into northern Yakutia, and there were an ICBM there, and he was able to get rid of that. So he's going to die, but killed 1 nuke anyway. So that's a good thing. Were there any nukes in northern Russia? Were there a couple sitting there? No? Okay. So it's, yeah, watch out for the airborne. They're slippery. They have to start from an undamaged air base. So air bases do get targeted quite a bit. But they have to start from an undamaged air base, and they can fly up to 3. As long as there's no enemy fighter anywhere in the sea zone or land zones that they cross. Alright. So, yeah, that's round 1. China still has an effective naval presence here, which is blocking the guys in Taiwan from going anywhere. So we'll have to see what happens on round 2. Right now the West is ahead in that they haven't lost a point using nukes. But I think there could be some victory cities falling this round, so we'll see. We'll see in just a moment. Okay, here we are halfway through turn 2, and the Russians decided to throw a nuke into Berlin. Thank you very much. ICBM from Central Russia, and it did 8 damage. It destroyed 8 infantry, so that's why it's quite light on infantry right now. And it's yeah, it's going to be tough to hold on to Europe here at this rate. The Caliphate took Israel and didn't suffer a loss. The fighter and the infantry did no damage, and then the nuclear stockpile that Israel has to blow up also missed. So yeah, easy peasy for the East on that one. They also took Italy, but they lost a couple of guys in there, I think. 2 or 3 guys, so there's some good fighting there. And what else happened here of note?
Greece.
Yep, Greece was taken handily, no troubles there. And yeah, the Russians were able to get back their bases up north here. Those are also victory cities. If you're wondering what those V's are, that's victory cities. So technically speaking, the West actually won the game on round 1 by taking those, because then they had 11 victory cities, and once you get to 10, that's a victory overall. But because this is a new rule set and we have some new players, we're just going to ignore that for now, because that's pretty cheeky to win with a couple of airborne guys, so we're not going to count that one. So we're moving along here, and some more stuff was fired into India, killed another infantry with a cruise missile, and the Chinese took Japan quite easily, and are going to be able to hold it pretty nicely. I think they've got some of their silkworm missiles, but they're down to 4 of them now, so of course that's all the bases they have there too. So we'll see what happens with that on the next round. They sure bulked up North Korea here. You can see the dotted line between North and South Korea though. That means that there's only 1 round of combat. It's difficult terrain. So there's only 1 round of combat between North and South Korea on any given turn. So it's very tough to dislodge anyone from that. That's pretty much it. Alright. No changes on the tech board. The Americans got their main battle tank last turn, which is handy. So they fight better but cost more as well. So it's the same as the Russians. And no other techs went through though for the East, but now it's the West turn, and we'll see what happens on the rest of round 2. Alright, at the end of round 2, we're moving right along. Russians fired off another nuke, but then took back some victory cities and whatnot. So that's where the victory points are sitting right now, and not much changed over here. But over here we have the Americans coming across North Africa, and the Caliphate can do nothing to stop them. And it looks like we still got a couple cruise missiles to fire, but we'll take care of those after filming. India decided to bust out here, the Pacific Coalition, so they came down here and took Southeast Asia, so that's giving the Chinese something to think about. And Japan has been retaken by the West, and not without damage though. They lost a couple of things here and there, but the Chinese fleet, as you can see, no longer exists. Russians have a few scattered boats up here, but nothing that can take on that behemoth. So the Chinese have their anti-ship missiles, which are going to come flying fast and furious. But we'll see what happens there. North and South Korea, once again, are very, very bulked up. And that's pretty much it. Not an awful lot went on around the board. Failed attempt here. Sent in a cruise missile, a fighter, and a helicopter to shoot that guy, and everything missed, and then he shot down my helicopter, so we retreated the plane, and what can you do? Alright, so that's pretty much it. We're going to shoot off some more cruise missiles here, and we'll start turn 3. Okay, while the evil East continues to put its build on here, we'll just give you the highlights of what went on. We'll start over here. The Panamanian Russians decided to do a charge into Venezuela. Did not go well. Now this is airborne, and they only defend at a 1, and these guys defended a 4, and so they attacked with 2 2s, and they missed, and then both these guys got a hit, a 1 and a 4. So the dice shined on me there. I was very happy with that. But the Americans got punched out of the Egyptian Caliphate, but not without loss. The Caliphate took it on the chin there a little bit, but they still took the territory. Oh, we still got this fight to do.
What fight?
The Eastern African states. Yeah, we got to do that.
Or do it live.
We also have France falling to the Russians, but all they got left is tanks. but they got a tank upgrade as well as the Americans did, where they cost 8 instead of 6, but they attack and defend with an 8 as well. Once again, India gets nuked, so it can't move this turn, move anything in or out. But we can fire nukes at it, which you just might do this round. We haven't fired a nuke yet. This is what, your 4th, I think? Third? So it's just been 1 per round? Alright, so 1 per round here. Guess we better change this to a 3, wherever that is. Okay, so he just attacked the Eastern African states and killed this poor fella off, who's just minding his own business, and who didn't get them back. So Caliphate makes $2 more there. The Chinese made a bit of a foolhardy attack from North Korea into South Korea, just in 1 round here. They did do 4 damage, but the South did 5, I think, 5 back, so didn't work so well for them. Not sure if we picked up on it last time, but the Pacific Coalition on their return were able to take over diplomatically the island of Java, an extra $2 there for them. The Chinese and the Russians fired 9 cruise and anti-ship missiles into here, and they knocked a supercarrier over and sank 3 other boats. So that was a pretty costly round for the Western powers, so we're going to have to do something about that. That's pretty much it though, as far as the East goes. Again folks, this is a quick game. This is not, it doesn't drag because there's fewer places to attack, there's fewer units overall, and fewer types of units. Like there's just really the one type of infantry, although you do have airborne, and then 1 armor, no artillery, 1 fighter, 1 helicopter. They're all the same level unless you get upgrades. So it does go pretty quickly. There is some cyber terrorism and stuff you can do, but for the most part the game flows pretty well once you get a handle on things. Again, we're still playtesting here folks, so there's some things that might get changed when you see this game come out, hopefully in time for Christmas, but I won't speak for Historical Board Gaming on that. I'm sure that they'll have a big release party when it is ready to go. Alright, we'll let you know what the West does on its turn, coming right up. Okay, unfortunately our old friend Time Restraints has conspired against us, and we're having to shut her down a little early today. But we did get through round 3, pardon me. We're just about to start round 4, but unfortunately we have to go. We're going to show you what happened though. So the Russians had taken France, and so Europe was able to take that back, and with quite a bit of stuff left. But Germany, as you can see, is ripe for the taking, so nothing's going to stop that from happening. We are going to be putting on the European build here, so maybe we'll do that as we're talking, just to show you what it's going to look like here. And so the alright, so that's what the European stuff looks like now. We haven't put on the American build either. We did put on the Pacific Coalition. And we didn't do all the American moves or anything because my buddy had to go. But essentially, just going to grab a man in a tank and bring him over to France here on this. And that's pretty much it though. There's a couple other things we can airlift. Americans took Panama since it was empty. And the West, as it stands right now, I think is +4 on victory cities. I think total. They're able to come and take northern Russia back, and just 1 tank left, so he's dead. But Scandinavia is looking a little empty. Brought over the Canadian infantry there. China got invaded here twice in the last couple rounds, so they're pretty hurting, but they got lots of cash. And had another border clash between the north and south. And they both did 2 damage, I think. But again, you just do 1 round, so just the dice rolling was pretty anemic. The Islamic Caliphate took over the East African states their last turn, and so the South African Coalition went in there to attack with the fighter from the U.S. fleet, and everybody died. So nothing changed hands there. Israel was liberated though by the Europeans. They came in there with the help of an American fighter, I think. Were able to defeat the lone caliphate fighter there. So that was a victory city. Not much else to say. I guess the caliphate got nuked. You're probably wondering about that. And that was done by USA. They rolled to get permission to do that, and they got permission. And threw an ICBM in there. Big expensive old warhead that does a D6 plus 2 damage to the number of units. So I went rolled, 1. So we killed 3 infantry. And then you do 2d6 plus 2 damage to their IPPs, to the limit of this. So the most I can do is 5. And so of course I rolled Snake Eyes, doing 4 damage. So that was a lot of fun. Strategy notes. We're seeing how nukes, although they do hurt your victory point, they sure slow up your opponent. When India got nuked last round, it stopped it from taking the caliphate this round, because it probably could have. And nuking Germany earlier on really slowed down the EU. Nuking Israel, of course, stopped anybody from moving in or out of there, or being able to launch cruise missiles out of there. So that's the nukes are very, very, very important tactically speaking. Don't count on them to destroy things, though. As much as you want them to, it may just actually freeze your opponent rather than actually annihilating a bunch of his stuff. A quick note, you can't fire nukes into sea zones except for a nuclear cruise missile, at which point you're actually targeting a specific ship and hoping to do some major damage there. But other than that, the nukes are very handy on land, but they do eat up your victory points. And so you can see there the Americans, the West, actually finished up a little higher, -1 for a nuke that they got last round. Tactics, anything you want to add to this?
I think you covered it all, really.
No? Alright. Subs are very important for launching those cruise missiles.
Yeah.
They sneak around, they're hard to hit, very slippery. So it's not a bad investment. You tend to gravitate towards land units in this game though. Doesn't seem to be a lot of sea units being built, especially when cruise missiles and these Chinese anti-ship missiles can take them out for cheap. Cruise missiles are $3, anti-ships are 4.
Yeah.
And then with the upgrade they hit on a 5 or less. So you know, you build a destroyer, that's worth, how much are those things worth these days? 16, I think, for the guided missile destroyers. So they fire cruise missiles as well, but yeah, getting them taken out by a $3 cruise missile is really depressing.
Oh yeah.
So and even the frigates are much cheaper though. They're $8, but still, I lost 2 or 3 frigates and a destroyer in one round here. So that's like $50 worth of ships that I lost to like $15 worth of cruise missiles. So yeah. So nukes, cruise missiles, very important. Make sure you read up on those really well if you're going to be playing this game in the near future, because they are not a side note. They are very, very important. As America, you got to build a lot of transports, get your units to Europe, and get your units threatening China. And watch out for those airborne. We've seen what they can do. They will come swooping in when you least expect it. Actually, as Europe here, I built a couple of airborne, hoping to keep Russia a little bit more honest with their back lines here and maybe keep the heat off Central Europe a little bit. But not sure if that would have worked, but it was a nice thought anyway. Alright, well thanks so much for watching, folks. Hope you've enjoyed it, and not really sure which way this one's going to go. China's looking under a lot of duress right now, but it's got a ton of money, and it can probably kick out these guys this turn, and there's really not much left, right, to reload with, except here in India. But if they keep getting nuked, they're going to have trouble getting out of their own borders. So really tough to say. It's a tough game to just call like this, call early, but we got to do it just because of time. But hopefully you enjoyed it and you got some interest in it here. And again, not sure when it'll be available, but I'll definitely put it up on the channel when it is available for purchase and tell you where to get it. And I know you'll enjoy it. It's a great thematic game. You can just smell the radiation right now. So have yourself a great day, and tell your friends that they're important to you. Hug your loved ones, and may those dice be with you.